We were in the book of Genesis. We've started Torah again. We are beginning the process of reading Torah for another year, and we are so grateful to be here and be beginning Torah again. So we are in Parshat Noach, and I am someone who reads the Torah in 3 parts. We're on the triennial cycle, and so for me, what I study this year about Parshat Noach is the last third of that parsha, which often doesn't get talked about when we talk about this parsha, which is the Tower of Babel. We talk about building this tower, and so what we have is that humanity is one, their language is one, they are one they are one people, and that seems to be a pretty okay thing, and they embark on this building project, and they're going to make sure that they build something so high and so tall that it reaches actually into heaven. That is what they're going to use their resources, their technology, their talent, their energy, their physical resources. They're going to use it all to do one particular thing, which is build a tower that's going to reach to the heavens. And so what happens at the end of our story is that God doesn't like this. So God says, I don't think so, and comes down and scatters the people and says they're now going to talk different languages. They won't understand each other. Thank you, Cantor Frankel. They won't understand each other anymore, and they're going to have different cultures and different languages and have to work across those differences and those divides. So the end of the story, I just gave it away, the end of the story is we're supposed to be different. We're supposed to be different languages, different experiences, different cultures, different ways of looking at things, different historical perspectives, different ways of understanding really even important issues like what's the main thing that we need to be doing right now. Why is that the answer? Why does God have to deal with this? When the CEO comes down to deal with something, it's pretty important. So that God actually has to attend to this means for God it's something pretty important in our story. And I believe it's a really important lesson for our time, which is when all we want to do is focus our time, our energy, our resources, our leaning into technology to do one specific thing. And what is the one specific thing? It's to build a tower, yes, with its head in the heavens. But why are they doing it? The only clue we get from Torah is so they can build for themselves a shame. They can build for themselves a name. Remind you of anything? In our time? When the only thing we're going to build this for is to have our name at the top of it. Really? A tower with our name at the top of it? Really? God's self comes down and says, that is very not a good idea. So what's the problem? What's the issue? Human hubris, human arrogance, human thinking that our name has to be the most important thing. But the other piece, says the rabbis, is if you have to get everybody on the same building project, and if everybody has to be doing that, because that's the only goal that we have, then what about the artists who want to do something else? What about the dreamers who want to do something else? What about the people who want to raise up a generation by teaching them? They all have to be drafted into the big building project. And how's the only way that's going to happen? How's the only way that's going to be possible? Is to oppress people who disagree with the one big tower with our name on it idea. It's an important teaching right now in our culture. I know that we are deeply divided. I hear it every day like you do. I know that we are incredibly polarized, and it's very anxiety-producing for all of us. It's very fearful, and it's really ugly and messy. And so for me, this Torah portion this week said to me, Amy, yes, it's really scary that we're so polarized. It's really scary the language we're using about each other. It's really scary that we can't talk to each other. But the danger of the opposite is real. The danger of Nazi Germany, everyone thinks the same way, and then everything becomes okay as long as we're all focused on one thing, and the one thing is the most important thing, then everything becomes okay to make that happen. So this Shabbat of this last third of the Parshat Noach, I ask us to think about. So as difficult as things are that we're divided, as difficult as it is to watch the news that we can't really hear each other, I also want us to think about the fact that this is our strength. It could be our strength as a nation. It can be our strength as a people, even the Jewish people, that we have really big differences. Because this week's Torah portion tells us when it's the opposite, when everybody has to be on board and everybody's coerced and everybody lives in the totalitarian regime of this is what's got to happen, that is way worse. So let us lean into hope. Let us lean into the fact that this conversation, even this argument that we're having as a Jewish people in some ways and as the American people for sure, let us hope it can be productive and produce what God really wanted, as our story tells us, which is diverse opinions, diverse ways of looking at things, so that we can have many, many different results that, when they're combined and when they clash and when it all falls out, will be the best one that we could hope for. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Yasher Koach.